I know the sound is horrible in here. It's like a big tunnel, but that's okay. How's it going, guys? So for the week, and I'm trying to keep my head in and my feet in, I'm just too big for the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and cover yellow belt, orange belt, and purple belt right here. It's real simple, real easy. I do not have a partner, so you're going to have to use your imagination. I could get Robert. Hang on. When I need to hit somebody, all right? So use Robert. First things first, though, yellow belts. So all of my yellow belts on Kalkaska, well, all of my yellow belts, what I want you working on are your blocks. Now I'm going to get close and talk to you, then I'll stand back up. So I want you to work on your blocks. When you work on blocks at yellow, so your white belt working on your yellow, it's about execution and proper execution. So staying close right here, you can work on them in a horse stance. I prefer you work on them in a horse stance, but realistically what I want you to do is really focus on the motion of the block, not the application, but the motion. So when you do your inward blocks from your hands cocked position, I want you to start outside your ear. I want you to bring your hands straight across. See how my elbow is moving first. When it gets to my solar plexus area, my hand shoots out at an angle. I'll show you this on the side in a minute. I want you to bring the other one up before this one moves. As you pull this one back, I want the coordination of this to blend together. So that elbow and then that 45. Okay? Bring it up and outside, across. Here. Now, critiquing the lower yellow belts on this video from another perspective, nobody cares about your opinion, so don't even post it on here, okay? These are my students and they're doing what I'm asking. Okay, so those are your inward blocks. On your outward blocks, there are two types. There's an extended outward and a vertical outward. So if you're working on your outward blocks from this position, start at your opposite hip. This is my right hand. Start at your opposite hip, leaving your elbow in place, bring it straight across about eyebrow level to your shoulder. Do not go out past your shoulder. Okay, using this as the block. When you change, this comes across, this one comes down at the opposite side. You go on the outside of your arm, and here, this is a vertical outward block, okay? Down, shift, over, and pull back. When you do your extended outward blocks, now don't just cheat and go to extended right away. This hand will turn out at a 45. Notice I did not push down. I didn't come and push down. I didn't push out this way of an outward block. It stops right here. This stops right there. There's no reason to be way out. Well, right now, I don't want you to be worried about getting out here. And if your elbow straightens out, you've lost the continuity of the block. So keep your block in. And don't just throw it that way. I mean, you're working on details right now. So from your hip, across, then extend it. To go to the other side, it comes back across, turns over, do the same thing as your vertical outward block, and then extend it. Okay, so those are vertical outward blocks. Upper block's going to be basically the same thing. Starting from here, I want you to come up center line. I don't want you to come up on the right side with the right hand. I want you to come up center line, if not just a little bit to the other side. When you get to your forehead, shoot your elbow up and out. No more than a fist above your head. You don't need to be way up here, okay? So it comes straight up and out. When you change, I want them to cross, blocking hand on the outside, okay? That's an upward block. When you go to your downward blocks, I want you to chamber, okay? I'm going to scoot back a little bit. In a horse stance, a downward block doesn't feel necessarily perfect, but it's the form you're working on. When you apply them later, you'll see where it fits in. But your downward block, you're going to start up on your shoulder, and you're going to come across. Let me stand up and do this for you, okay? When you step back and you're practicing your downward block, you get in your horse stance, you cock your hands. I want you to start here, and I want you to come straight across and out over your knee. When you switch, this is a reverse downward. This comes on top of your arm. You'll pull down. Now, these are linear downward blocks. Cross, up, and down. You can rewind this and go back to it. I don't need to do a million of them for you, but that's what I want for your downward block. When you work on your blocking set, there are star blocks and there's blocking set. This is from Mr. Durant. When you were younger, you learned star blocks. You did inward, outward, upward, downward, hook, reverse, some other blocks. So again, it was inward, outward, upward. Wait a minute, I'm getting mixed up. There's inward, there's blocking set, and there's star blocks. Up, in, out, down, hook, pull. Up, in, out, down, reverse, hook, pull. Or inward, outward, upward, downward, hook, reverse, pull, inward, outward, upward, downward, reverse, downward, hook, and pull. So you star blocks that start in order. Inward block, outward block, come back to center. Upward block, come back to center. Downward block, cross center, hook, smother block. Those are star blocks. Then you had blocking set, which starts up, in, out, down, hook, smother. Then you do other sides, you go up, in, out, down, hook, smother. Then you do alternating. So you go up, in, out, down, smother, and then you also the other side. Up, in, out, down, hook, smother. And then you do both hands, right? You can rewind it and go slow. So star blocks and blocking set. Also, yellow belts. And then I'll move on to orange belt. Yellow belt, I want you to set some practice time. Learning to be a good student means setting some schedules. So set your schedule, set a goal. When you're going to practice each day of the week, how long you're going to do it, put a check mark. Learn to follow through. Learn to practice your willpower. Okay, good. Let's move on. Orange belt. I'm going to need to move way back for this one so you can see the stances. And I'm going to make excuses. I have a torn hamstring still, and I've got injured to my leg, so I'm going to take it real easy. And some of the stances are not the best they should be because of me. Don't let it happen to you. Make sure you stretch out, okay? So stances, Wu Bu Chuan, we're going to work through it. So I'll back up for you. The basic stances: horse stance, bow stance, cat stance, twist stance, fighting stance, or neutral bow stance. So you want to work on those. Again, it's not about toe alignment as much as it is balance. If you're too narrow in your stance sideways, all you have is the distance of your feet to give you stability in this direction. So you widen your stance, okay? You have width, you have height, and you have depth. So your stances should be, they should fit you, okay? So we do which one? Let's see, we'll do it going this way. Your first stance, I got my sword on the floor. Now, cock your hands, step to your horse. One, go to your bow and arrow stance, go to your crane stance, don't blow it off. Step forward, back to your horse, step to your twist, block, punch, go twist, unwind, make sure you get to your crane, drop down to your close stance, here, up to transition and push, the cat stance, and bow. Okay, that's what you want to do. Purple belt, rearrangement theories. So, orange belt, I want you to work on your stances. Look at the relationship in each technique. So whenever you're throwing a punch or a strike, which one is not necessary to think about that, okay? They happen naturally, and that's about your stance transitions that I want you to work on. But when you're doing any technique, you're going to find certain strikes and the techniques work better for you with what we call stance strike congruency. Now, you've heard me say it before, that you can hit with power on one leg. With no legs, you can defend yourself effectively. It's possible. It needs to be possible, or your system lacks, correct? But in all honesty, well, it's not about not being honest. It's about evaluation. The way you get to the higher processes is through the lower training. And you need your basics. You need to learn your stances. I watched a video of a gentleman with no arms and no legs. I can't remember who posted it, but the gentleman had no arms and no legs. And he was doing a hard style. It was either Okinawan or Japanese hard style form. And he had two other classmates with him doing the kata at the tournament. But you could watch this gentleman, no arms, no legs, doing the moves, and you could see his stances with no legs. You could see what they were doing, and you could watch his determination, and you could feel the power of his punch with no arms. It was awesome. He had it. You need it. And in order to get it, you got to practice it. So while blocks are not necessary in self-defense, they are necessary part of your growth in reaction timing and ability to defend yourself. I hope that makes sense. Good. Mr. Molly, actually downloaded that video and love it. Oh, the one of the gentleman with no legs. Man, it was really cool. I'd love to shake his hand virtually, if nothing else, right? Okay, so that's orange belt. What I mean by stance strike congruency, if we were punching off our backhand from a neutral bow or a fighting stance, and we go to hit, and I hit from a neutral bow without turning my hips into it, I've eliminated almost 12 inches of reach for one. But if I can time it to where my strike and my back heel hit the ground at about the same time, boom, then I have that bracing angle, that torque, and that power. So there are certain things that you want to do from a stance positioning. Orange belt, we know that, okay? Good. So purple belt. Did I get enough in orange? Yes. Purple belt, rearrangement. Mr. Parker has a video, and poor Robert here, he's the Bob's over there, this is Robert, doesn't have an arm. I could have shown you on the wooden dummy, but you can imagine his arm too, okay? For rearrangement, we take the alphabet of motion. What I want you working on for a simple theory, if he threw a right punch, and you can see the punch, and I block the punch with an inward block, and we're going to start from here. We're going to go to a chop. We're going to go to an inward elbow. We're going to go back. Okay, let me, Robert. All right. So we block, chop, elbow, back. That's the simple idea. 1, 2, 3, 4 that I want. And then to simply rearrange it, just reverse it. If you start from here, this is your reference point. You go 1, 2, 3. Okay? So I'll do it slow. Block, back knuckle, the inward elbow, and the chop. Okay? So the beginning, it's chop, elbow, back knuckle. To rearrange it simply, reverse it. Back knuckle, elbow, chop. And then mix it up. Go from block to chop, back to the elbow, back to the chop if you need to. Why? Because I said so. Practical application will tell you if I block and then I go to chop and he blocks, I can go through the regular part of it. Or I can go from here, this is blocked, I move him low, and then I come back up and finish where I started. So rearrange and have fun with it. Then take your favorite technique and do the same thing. For Adam Durant, Mr. Durant's one of my oldest students, not old age-wise, but he's been with me a long time. Mr. Durant, I love you. Raised him like a son. He's getting back into it with his son now. And what we do is delayed sword, inward defense, outward defense, sword of destruction. Let me explain. Inward defense is very equivalent to sword of destruction. Oh, excuse me. Let me get these, keep it straight in my head. Inward defense and delayed sword. So inward defense was against a right punch. Mr. Durant, you learned block, chop, kick, step back as inward defense. Block, chop, kick, step back. Sword or delayed sword is the rearrangement, TKKA, block, kick, chop. Don't worry about remembering them perfectly, just practice one. The right punch or a right grab happens. This is the reference point. I know. This attack is a reference point. I hit the arm. Now, whether I choose to go here first, then here, or if I choose to go here first, then here, is determined simply by me and what I want to happen next. The theory you could practice here would be body dynamics. Okay, now body mechanics, for you other Kenpo people think you know, body dynamics. And if you're not sure what that is, contact me, I'll let you know. So that's your homework. That's what I want you working on. How long does it take? Do you need a partner to do it? No. You can totally practice it in the air and work through it as long as you get your mindset and have fun with it. Okay, good. So that's your yellow, that's your orange, and that's your purple. For those of you that aren't familiar with belts, when I say yellow belt, you're white, working on your yellow. When I say orange belt, yellow, working on your orange. When I say purple, you're orange, working on your purple. Okay, blue belt. I'll come back in a few minutes, and then I got to get out of here. Blue belt is mass attack, takedowns. Green belt, we're going to talk about weapons, and brown belt, we'll talk about bridging and graphing. And then black belt, I was going to do chin gnaw. Nobody's got any fingers, but I can talk you through it, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, guys. Good.